And welcome inside Delaware Live Sports. I am Nick Alessandrini, and now I have the luxury of being joined by Gene Delle Donne, the founder of Grail Sports here in Delaware. Gene, how you doing this morning?
Nick, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about, what's all going on.
Oh, absolutely. We are thrilled to have you on. We know how busy it is now, and everything's really picking up as the summer is starting to come around. So, Gene, before we dive right into Grail Sports and everything that goes with it, why don't you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you. So, born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm a local guy. Graduated from Salesianum High School in 2005. Went on to play football. I actually was a two-sport athlete in Sally's. Basketball and football. Went off to Duke for a year to play football, and then transferred on to Middle Tennessee State to continue my career, where I played tight end the last 3 years of the career down at Middle Tennessee State. Graduated in 2009 from MTSU, moved back home where I went to work for my pop. My dad has had a family-run and owned and operated commercial real estate company for about roughly the past 40 years. I still work for him. I've been, with the company now roughly 12 and a half years. Have a little daughter, 7.5 years old. She will be a second grader at Tower Hill.
All right.
And my wife, Jennifer, who I met down in Nashville, Tennessee, and drug up to Delaware.
How's she like Delaware? How does she like the first date?
She liked it, took her some time getting adjusting from the slow south to the hustle and bustle of the Northeast, but she's doing quite well now.
Awesome. Great to hear. And now we'll dive right into it. The topic of our discussion this morning, obviously, is the Grail Sports Complex. Gene, you are the founder of Grail Sports and picking up traction, a lot going on there this summer. But before we dive into that, do you want to talk a little bit about what Grail Sports is?
Sure. That'd be great. So, the reason why I talked about playing sports my whole life and in college or high school and college is, I've always had an athletic background, if you will, right? And after graduating college, I actually served as my sister Elena's agent for her first 3 years of her career in WNBA. So I was able to cut my teeth with companies like Nike, Christiana Care, and the sponsors that I negotiated for her in the sports business world. And I took a real liking to that, which made me form Grail Sports LLC in roughly 2018. And what I did was I first formed it. You'll appreciate this, Nick, being in media. I formed it as a media company.
Oh.
And I specialized on online blogging, obviously social media, and mainly podcasts. And what I did was I traveled the country and started a football podcast where I sat down with college, NFL, and high school football coaches and discussed, their ideas on training, recruiting, X's and O's. And I was at Notre Dame and the Raiders and UNC and
Wow.
Duke, and it was pretty cool. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, et cetera, et cetera. So it started as a media company, and then kind of transitioned, 2 years later into 2020, 2021. Here we are. Given my background, like I said, in sports and real estate, I thought, why not transform this company into more an athletic real estate holdings company? And I've always had the visions to revitalize communities and older buildings. And you'll see where I'm going with this, with obviously the church that I have made the Grail Sports Complex. So it's always, having a daughter that's involved in sports, and my wife, my sister, my family, I've always thought, how cool would it be to have a gym that not only is just like a personal gym that you see at homes, but something that's open to the community, that creates a lot of buzz, that hopefully makes a positive impact on coaches and, more importantly, youth development. And that's kind of how this all morphed into the Grail Sports Complex that we see now in Ellesmere, Delaware.
I mean, I don't know if you haven't seen the pictures or seen anything, make sure you check it out online, Grail Sports, and you can check it out on Instagram and Twitter as well. Just looks amazing. I'm going to have to get over there myself here soon just to check it out in person for sure. I used to love going there growing up as well and playing there, and that was back when it was, not near as nice as it is now. So this is going to be perfect for the state, absolutely. And now, Gene, as we dive into this summer, basketball will be being played there here shortly. I believe begins July 6th. Do you want to talk a little bit about the summer schedule, how that whole thing came to be, and just kind of what everyone should expect come this summer?
Sure. So one great partner, and we've had a great relationship so far in the building, is a group by the name of Team Final. Team Final is a Nike Tier 1 AAU program out of Philadelphia. And the reason why I mentioned Nike Tier 1 is there's only 5 of them in the country. So they've had, 20 NBA players. They've got Division I athletes, but they've made my facility their training facility. So it's a cool local story for Delaware and especially Ellesmere and Wilmington that this Philly-based, high-powered Nike program is coming down to Delaware to train. They've helped me a lot in terms of the overall management of the complex, as I call it, and so much that they're helping me manage the day-to-day movement in and out of the building. So what we've done with Team Final is we are starting our first annual summer league. And like you mentioned, Nick, July 6th will be the first date. Games will be played on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 and 8 o'clock slots. And what we decided to do was start with 8 teams, but it's high-level 8 teams, 4 of them from the Philadelphia area and then 4 here local in Delaware. And we believe, there really won't be much around like this for all those sports and basketball fans out there. Philly Live just concluded their 2-weekend set, and that's been a huge hit in the past. And a lot of those elite Philly Live teams are going to be in our summer league.
I mean, that is actually incredible. I mean, if a lot of you out there listening, aren't sure of the Tier 1 Nike and Team Final, they are, one of the best teams, as you talked about, Gene, in the country, and that's going to bring a phenomenal level of basketball to the Grail Sports Complex. So I'm sure everyone very excited about that. And, Gene, that'll lead me to this question. When you started getting this all together, how excited were you? Did you start to get real excited when this whole thing started to come together?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I had always had my eyes on the gym, like you said, Nick. Growing up, like we all played in Corpus Christi gym, right? The holiday tournament that they threw annually was like one of the best tournaments around, right? Unfortunately, as we all know, right around COVID, when the school went dark and the gym went dark, it had been something I had been monitoring now for roughly a year. And when the representation of the church called me and said, "Hey, we'd be interested in selling the gym alone." Obviously, I wasn't interested in a school, but when that came about, I thought this is awesome. And I'll tell you, man, what started out as a passion project has now turned into a full-time job for me. But it's been great. It really has.
And, Gene, how hard was it to kind of get this whole thing organized, to get the summer league done, obviously the renovations and everything to the gym, but how was the organizational part of this whole thing for you to get everything ready for this upcoming summer, especially with everything that's happened in the past year and a half?
Yeah, when you have a brand like Team Final working alongside of you, their name kind of speaks for themselves. So high schools and players of those high schools and coaches, they want to be connected to a brand like that. But obviously, it took some time. I mean, everyone still really is crawling out of all of COVID. So you had to prove to them the safety, right? We upgraded the court. We've done a lot of, we've spent well over $150,000 of infrastructure costs into the place. We put brand new air conditioning. The complex didn't have AC. We brought AC we added fitness. Like I said, we put new NBA rims in. We put new backboards in, paint, upgraded bathrooms. So it's been a lot of time, energy, and effort, but we believe, if you want the best in there, you have to have the best product to present to the best, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we've prided ourselves in.
And, Gene, we talked a little bit about this already, but how important do you think it is here in Delaware and just around here locally to have a place like Grail Sports? And you mentioned it. That was kind of your idea as you got into it. But it's, such a big deal to have a place like that for these local athletes to improve their game. And, that's kind of your slogan, I believe, right? Better your game. And it's the perfect place to do it. How important do you think it was to finally have a place like this for all these athletes to get better?
It's huge. And, from an economic development standpoint, the way Newcastle County and State of Delaware looks at it, most parents out there who have kids in youth sports, they're familiar with, these indoor facilities, right? And they're all in PA. I mean, other than our great Chase Fieldhouse, which, does a great job and we all know about, that's really the only thing we have to compete regionally with these facilities that exist in Glen Mills and Downingtown and Philadelphia and South Jersey, right? We all know them.
Yep.
And what I was able to do was just put this boutique complex, if you will, together that, we partnered with the Fieldhouse to be their fourth court, right? Because they have three. So the ability to attract, to be ridiculous, Nick, for example, 6 months from now, ESPN is going to be inside the facility filming basketball games, recording basketball games. So to bring all that to small town Ellesmere is pretty cool. And then, when you have these tournaments comes bodies and people, and they're going to shop, they're going to eat pizza, they're going to go, they're going to dine. It's just the spin-off factor that really will spur the community to prosper. And lastly, you talk talent and Nike and elite and all that's great, but in the end, you want all kids and all youth to feel the benefits of this place. Yep. So we're gonna call it what we do. We're gonna call it community days, and we're simply just gonna open the doors, right? And all the kids around are gonna be able to come in for free. Our on-site coaches will be on staff. They'll be in the building. They'll be working kids out. And again, it's us, just like you said, trying to better the games of these kids and just teach them that, with sports, there's more to it than just shooting a basketball through a basket, right? It's developing these kids into adults so they can flourish, in their future.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. And that's, again, such a big deal that, people that just live around the area are going to be able to make use of such a great facility. Just a huge deal there. And Gene, what has kind of stuck with you the most during this whole process? I know it's been a while since you started this whole thing, and now we're about to have your first summer league playing this summer. What kind of stuck with you the most throughout this entire process?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say, Nick, is execution, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody out there can sell a dream verbally, right? Everyone can say, hey, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to host this camp, or I'm going to build that facility. But what it boils down to, quite honestly, is execution. Can you walk the walk, right? Everybody can talk the talk, but to be able to say, I have this facility, I'm going to have a summer league, there's going to be a top-notch youth camp that a guy like John Noonan runs, right? Or the team finals behind. That's bold to say. And then when it happens, though, that's pretty darn cool. And, again, like I said, I think it boils down to execution.
Absolutely. Again, Nick Alessandrini, Delaware Live Sports, here with Gene Delle Donne, the founder of Grail Sports here in Delaware. Big things on the horizon. And Gene, I don't want to, dive too deep into your plans and everything you may have under wraps. Is there any future plans that maybe you may be looking to unravel later this summer or in the fall?
Yeah, for sure. So I've told everybody and publicly is I want it to be more than just a basketball gym, right? So the facility, believe it or not, is actually 24,000 feet. It's larger than what people would probably envision. And it's comprised of roughly 2 floors, 12,000 feet on a floor. Where I'm going with this is, like I said, I want it to have an indoor soccer element, a pitchers and catchers for baseball element. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install indoor turf, which will be underneath the basketball floor. Yeah. And it just kind of brings, 4 or 5 more elements with locker rooms than just, like I said, a basketball facility. That's the goal, and I'm hoping that will all be ready by the fall and winter months so, programs can come in and enjoy those. We know what the weather's like in January and February, and not many kids want to be playing soccer outdoors,
it's
right?
So true. Oh, absolutely. And just like me, I'm sure everyone that's listening to this interview right now is just getting more and more excited about Grail, just the way this conversation continues to go. Just it seems like it's going to just continue to keep getting better and better. And Gene, obviously you talked about some of the players that are going to be coming in that you've had a chance to work with and that you've seen work out at Grail. Is there any players that you'd like to put on a watch list, maybe share with our audience, as someone to maybe pay a little attention to this summer and into next year?
Well, everybody is familiar. Well, I don't know if everybody, but I'll tell you what, Nick. Team Final has a kid by the name of Jalen Duren, Duren.
Oh, yeah.
And nationally, he's a known commodity. But locally, if people can get to see him. I mean, the kid, he's so good, he may not even go to college. He may just jump right in the NBA. And to see, he's 6'11", 7 foot, but he runs like a point guard. It's special. I mean, it's like he's the best this little town has to offer. I know that. I'm excited for the summer league to see, what a team like Sanford. Obviously, we all know the Stan Waterman story. Mm-hmm. He's off to Del State, which I think will be great for Delaware State. But how do they retool? How do they rebuild? And we'll be able to see them this summer. Everybody knows I'm a Sally's guy. We had some good things going, on that basketball team. Yeah. It's going to be great to see how these Delaware teams, Sally, Sanford, Howard, and Dover, who were the 4 teams, by the way, in the summer league, how they play against an Emotep, right? And
Absolutely.
For those not familiar with Emotep, they're normally the class of Philly. Newman Goretti, right? How do our Delaware guards match up against a kid like Rob Wright from Newman Goretti, right? And again, it's all going to be right there in a week from now inside the facility.
I'll tell you, I'm getting excited just thinking about it now. This whole interview has got me excited for the summer league. I will tell you that. And Gene, before I let you go, again, thanks for joining us this morning. I know you're very busy. Is there anything you'd just like to lastly share with our listeners just ahead of the summer league and ahead of a big training summer at Grail Sports?
Yeah, I want to stress that I'm a pretty open guy, and I pride myself in that. And I just want to let people know that, whether it be on Instagram, which is at Grail Sports, or Twitter is just me personally, or grailsports.com, please reach out. I want everybody to enjoy this, right? And I want everyone to be a part of it. Send me a note, send me an email, gene@grailsports.com. And if you have kids, we would love to get them involved. I mean, Nick, we've had as young as kindergarten kids in there, right? And we go to about 17, 18 years old. So please, everybody, you're more than welcome to be a part of it. It's not just for Slasianum. It's not just for Team Final. It's not just for Sanford, right? It really is supposed to be a community-based building, and that's what we pride ourselves on.
For sure. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Gene Delle Donne, the founder of Grail Sports, and a lot going down there this summer. Make sure you get up there to check it out, just to be there. Again, you can train. It's open to everyone. Such a big landmark now here in the state of Delaware, and just everyone, I'm sure, just so excited for what it has to offer.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate your support, buddy.
Thanks so much, Gene. Again, Gene Delle Donne, founder of Grail Sports. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon, Gene.
You got it.